Okay, so for those of you who have not seen the agenda, I'm going to put it into today's chat, if I remember how to do that. Okay, where do I see the chat? Here it is. I don't have my glasses on. There we go. Okay, so welcome everybody to our first Youth Services check-in meeting of 2023, and happy Mardi Gras. Hope you all are looking forward to spring. And oh, Katie at Poinet has told us that Wisconsin notaries cannot notarize documents for people who are not Wisconsin residents. The question that we asked as everybody was checking in and getting started was, what's something that you've recently learned? So we're learning a lot of interesting things from our colleagues here today. All right, let's take a look at today's agenda. I just finished up a meeting with DPI and other youth services consultants, and the big news was Beanstack. And so for those of you like me who have been sitting on pins and needles, I've got it right from DPI. The expectation and the intention is that the transition past our April 31st finish line is going to be seamless. So what that means is DPI expects that by April 31st, we will be able to move on to the next 2-year contract with Zubeen. What is taking everything so long is that Zubeen or Beanstack is what's called a sole source procurement, which means that there's nothing else like Beanstack out there for the state to look into, to collect other bids for. And so this requires a special sign off at the Department of Administration. And that special sign off, which I think even the governor has to sign, is in line to be signed between now and April 31st. So things are sounding really great for Beanstack. This is the information that I have. And if you have any questions or if you'd like to talk about Beanstack, now is a time to talk about it. I was also told, or somebody else asked at the meeting, can libraries start to plan, start to set up their Beanstack? And yes, it sounds like you should be able to set things up, and that anything you set up now will move forward. So this is what DPI tells me, and they do not say things unless they're very sure. So I'm feeling positive about sharing out this news. And I've updated the agenda and even today's meeting notes with some quotes from the DPI for those of you who are interested. Any discussion about Beanstack? Yes, Helen, go ahead.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. This is great news, Sean. Will we be able to access the past challenges still? Is that part of that seamless process? Like, will we retain the information on our accounts?
That's a really good question. So the DPI said it will be as seamless as possible. I'll ask about that because I don't have that answer, and that wasn't a question that came up. So that is a question I will ask DPI. I'm going to put that.
And
You're
thank you to
welcome.
them. This is such good news. I was like, how like there are so many great qualities to this. I know that, like there are the occasional bugs, but oh my gosh, this is great news. Thank you. And thank you to them too.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for everybody's patience. Other questions or thoughts, discussion about Beanstack? Okay. If none, let's move on to the second SCLS update. Deb and I have been very busy here at South Central the last week and a half. We now have the 2023 SCLS graphics. So every year South Central provides a summer catalog or catalog of graphic items that are available for libraries to request. Putting that into the chat. A catalog of items that you can request that are printables. So coloring sheets and activity sheets. We also have a lot of reading logs, that type of thing, that are available. So we have the Google file that I've just linked here, and good, it looks like somebody can get into it. Let me know if you have any problems. Here's the order form. Also, the deadline is, let me make sure I have that right, March 20th. So if you want any, these items are available to libraries free of charge up to the amounts that are listed on the order form. If you want more, that's fine, but that will be counted toward your library's total printing allotment. Now, I'm going to ask you all something. If you are excited about the graphics and know what you want to order, please order them as soon as possible, because as many of you know, South Central is moving offices in May, and there will probably be some time during our move that our printer will not be available, that we will not be able to print things. Also, BSI, Badger State Industries, no longer prints materials. So we've lost a really great resource for outsourcing printing, and we won't have access to our really strong printer here at South Central. So the sooner you can get your print request to Deb, the better. And all you need to do is either print off and scan the graphic order form and send it to Deb via email. You can print it and send it via fax or paper copy. I'm going to tell you that scanning and sending to Deb as email probably is going to be your best bet. It's going to be fastest and most efficient. Are there any questions about the graphics sheets that are available? Oh, go ahead, Helen.
Thanks. So if we're going to be going kind of with a garden theme of that all together now. Our community is pretty rural, so if we wanted to use some of that, but also do some of our own, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody is required to use the CSLP theme. It's the theme that the state supports. So therefore, that's what South Central supports. But what South Central also supports is literacy activities during the summer. And you all know what's best for your communities. Some communities don't use the CSLP, the CSLP theme, and that's absolutely fine. Or you can pick and choose.
Thank you. And then there are a couple of sheets that are in here that you might want to double check in that packet that don't quite match. Like one of them is from last summer, I believe. That may have been intentional with
Hold on.
fish.
Did I link to the Thank you all for checking. I just linked those this morning. So I will double check and make sure that the right order form. And is it the catalog that looks wrong?
It was the one that has the graphics in it. Yeah, the graphic order catalog. Yeah, 2023. And
Okay.
one of them says 4A English, but it's still in Spanish. And then 4B Spanish is the summer
Oh,
reading last year. So
okay.
it might have been a drafted version.
I will let Deb know. Thank you. And we'll update that. Write myself a note. Okay. Okay. And if, yes, go ahead, Kelly.
Wait. Oh, can you hear me? I should have
Yes.
practiced. I tried it. When you were talking about the printing service or South Central, like when we do our summer library program visits in May, like usually like April, May, we have you print like a bunch of bookmarks for us. So that's probably something you won't be able to do, or when's the deadline for big print jobs like that?
So are you talking about your library specific programs, Kelly?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is down to the next section. Let's move
Oh,
to,
sorry, I always do
that's
that.
okay. No, it means that you're really smart and thinking ahead. We, as soon as possible, for any of your performer flyers. So performer flyers would be flyers about individual special events, individual performers, and then the summer events brochure. We would want those 4 weeks before they're needed. So if you have something right now, go ahead and send it. If you all have anything that you think is ready to go for printing, I recommend sending it to Deb right now. And I'll let her know that I told you all that. And I have information linked to today's agenda and notes that share information about the flyer requests and brochures. Brochures is what Deb refers to as the season-long packet, the season-long publicity that you send out, and flyers are for the individual special events. All right, I'll put the agenda in here again, just so you have everything. So the sooner the better this year for print jobs. And the other thing I wanted to let you all know is that every year Deb and I go through the manual and we choose, just a few things to add to that graphic order form. If there's something in there that you want, feel free to send a regular print request to Deb. So if there's other activity sheets or other, game pieces that you want to print off, just send that to Deb as a regular printing request for your library. Other things that I have about performers is we've asked, or I know a lot of people have asked about ways for sharing performer, contact information, that type of thing. The Adult Services check-in folks last fall made a basic Google spreadsheet that they're sharing, basic information, contact information, websites, and I'm going to create something very similar to that for Youth Services Librarians. So I was talking with the Adult Services folk and with Jean Anderson, who created it, and she said what they have asked is it's going to be a Google form. It's not, or a Google document, Google spreadsheet. It's not going to be very pretty, but what we're looking for are examples of performers who you recommend, rather than those who you don't recommend, because it's going to be hard to keep this spreadsheet private. I'll see if we can protect it behind the password protected sites, but think about this as a way of recommending performers rather than leaving a critical review. Those are ways that we can talk about problem performers in our meetings, even in other ways. You can let me know. So that is coming up. I had hoped to have it finished by today, but it'll probably be finished by the end of this week. Other good news about performers, and I just heard this an hour ago at the statewide check-in meeting, is that the Youth Services section of WLA has been asked to host an online virtual performer showcase. So hopefully this will happen this year. So they're looking into, going about how would we do this? How would we host? How would we share out a virtual performer showcase? And a lot of us were excited at the statewide meeting, and I see Bethany looks pretty happy. And so I will let you know as soon as I find out any updates about that. All right. And I will send the performer spreadsheet out via Kids List and Teen Talk. Any discussion about performers or special event people?
I've got a question just for the group. Has anyone heard from Miller and Mike at all?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yep. Today they're a little bit behind.
Oh, okay.
But he finally got back to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're so, but I think it's a side job more these days than.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
So,
like people have other things that they're doing. And Brittany, is that for Plain or for Sauk City? I should ask.
it's for both. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
It's for
No,
both.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. We need to coordinate.
We do.
Thanks, Bethany, for getting that conversation started. Anything else? So those are the system announcements. Before I move forward to the topics that our colleagues asked for, are there any other topics that have come to your minds in the last couple of days or the last couple of hours that you'd like to talk about with this group?
I am running out of take and make ideas.
Okay.
Specifically for children, since that's my wheelhouse at this point.
Does anybody have anything for Bethany?
Bethany, are you focused still on like the ages 8 to like or 6 to, what's your age range again for those?
So basically 3 to 12-ish, sort of 5 to 12-ish. We have coloring sheets for the younger kids too, like activity, like more paper craft type things for the younger ones, but
and like because you had those pretty sophisticated keychains when I visited you, like those were really cool. Like what level of, like,
I am taking any and all ideas at this point.
Okay, I'll send some over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Do you still have that Instagram, or I'm sorry, that Pinterest? Do you still have that work Pinterest?
Yeah.
I can share things to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will do that today.
Thank you.
Bethany, these aren't specific ideas, but I steal a lot of ideas from these places. Are you in the Programming Librarian and Storytime Solidarity Facebook groups?
Yes.
Okay, you already know. Never mind.
Hey, it's good. It's really good to check because I've gotten a number of ideas from there and it's been really helpful in that. I've gotten a number of ideas from there. So sorry, I'm also putting peanut butter into little cups right now, so I'm a tad distracted.
Does anybody have other suggestions for Bethany for make and take? I'm multitasking too. I am looking for, at one point, somebody shared a whole bunch of make and take ideas, and I think it was very early on in the quarantine. And it was, I think, a spreadsheet of program ideas. So I will share that out when I find them.
I think Christy gave it to you, didn't she, before she left Spring Green? I think she had a one, but I don't know if all of her stuff is active anymore.
You know, that I thought it was somebody who had
And
recently
I think
left.
she had a performer one too.
Yeah. Yeah, but somebody who's left. So I will share that out. Brittany, if you have it or if you find anything.
I'll try to find it. If not, I can contact her or Facebook or email her or something to
Okay.
see if she still has it. She's not too far away. She just went to an elementary school.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I am just looking at.
It was either her or Karen.
I am thinking, who was at Prairie du Sac before you, Bethany?
Heather.
Heather Phelps. So I do have her stuff here.
Do you have her stuff? It may
Yes,
have been
I think
Heather
so.
too.
Yeah. At least I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere.
Okay. I'll look for anything that I have as well.
All right. Thank you all.
Are people still doing a lot of make and takes? Take and makes. Sometimes when I go to libraries, I still see them.
Well,
And
that was what I was, sorry,
Go
that
ahead,
was
Deb.
what I was going to ask, because in Portage County, we've been having the discussion on, you know, last year we brought back programming, but not everything. And now this year we're bringing back so much more, but keeping a lot of the stuff that we were doing during the pandemic. And so we've decided here that we are doing make and takes every 2 weeks, and we have been since 2020, but we're actually going to pause for the summer on the take and makes, because we have scavenger hunts they can do while they're here, and we have coloring sheets they can do while they're here, and whatever. And we're just getting overwhelmed. And so I was just curious to know if other people are feeling like, how much do you keep that you were doing before when you're bringing back all of this 2019 goodness that, you know. So that's kind of what we've decided here is for June and July for sure. They're gone. We're going to keep some other things. Our lit loot have been phenomenal. We're not getting rid of those. But just curious to know if anybody else is feeling the same way with bringing so much more normalcy back this year than we have in the past.
Yeah, we stopped our like make and takes like actually in September of last year. And then we started with more of our passive in library putting extra crafts out or old crafts, and then doing scavenger hunts, which I get a lot of them from the programming Facebook. And those have been really like popular where, you know, we have like 40, 50, 70 kids doing one in a month, which programming wise, it still counts. So we've been focusing more on that passive. Plus, we're in a transition where we don't really have any space to do programmings at our library. But in January, we'll have a nice big new one to do and tons of stuff. But yeah, but we've focused more on the in-house stuff like scavenger hunts where there's not much prep and that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Kelly. And Anne reports from Portage Public Library, same thing, putting out the leftover preschool time crafts for make and takes. And Helen has responded that at at Columbus, they've decreased the take and makes. Sometimes they'll make extras from story time, but also for craft your noon programs too. Like Kelly in Oregon, they are doing more scavenger hunts to draw in families. One thing that I've noticed in the summer library program manuals, especially for school age and younger children, that many of the activities specifically identified this is how you could turn this into a take and make, or this is how it could be done at home. So if you want to take a look at the manual too, Bethany, and I was just in the manual yesterday, so that's when I noticed it, and I thought that was, a really great response to how libraries are doing programming now. Put that.
If I do have another topic I wanted to bring up too, when the take and makes are,
Okay.
when you're ready.
Are we ready to move on? All right. So Helen, take it away.
So we have a relatively, well, it's been going on for some months now. We have a trio of 5th and 6th grade boys that one day expanded to 6 of them being in our one stall restroom at one time. They're quite the gang they're becoming. It's been a little interesting, but we're going to start doing incentive coins. We're going to try it out for at least a month, see if that helps them with their behavior. We found melted ice cream cones, one melted ice cream cone on the bookshelf in the teen area, garbage wrappers being left over there. We're moving a garbage can over there for their snack time. They're running in and out of the library all the time. They feel very safe here. They feel very comfortable here, which is great. But I'm going to get some of those incentive coins, like you've been caught being good. And, like at the end of the month, they'll have a chance to trade in either for a Culver's Scoop token, or if they get 3 tokens, 3 good behavior coins, they can trade in for a king size candy bar. And if they get 10, they can trade in for a coupon in the bowling alley. So we're going to try that out because they're running around in the elevator. They were told there should not be 6 of them in the restroom at one time. We have, a lot of elderly people come in here, like we need them to be respectful, mindful of the other patrons. So, and I think that they expressed an interest when I brought it up to them that they might want to do the creative writing tween workshop we're going to have in April. But yeah, that's kind of some of what we're trying to do to work with our tween boy groups that are running wild. I don't know if anyone else has tried this kind of incentive program at their libraries, so I just wanted to bring that up. See if there's any other thoughts on that, any success, and they're in 5th and 6th grade. So thanks.
Does anyone have ideas or thoughts or recommendations for how you have changed these behaviors or similar behaviors? Hannah from Mount Horeb is saying she hasn't tried them, but she's sending you good vibes.
Thanks, Hannah.
So I know in my experience, and it's been a while, but I worked at a few, libraries, public library branches that were right across the street from middle schools. And we just had the expectation that the kids would behave properly in the library, and we would remind them of what good behaviors look like or what appropriate behaviors look like. And so I guess my recommendation is Sixth grade, I know, yeah, sixth graders make a person crazy. My recommendation is to have that balance with, yeah, I see you doing something great, but also point out when some of their behaviors are inappropriate, so that they are clearly defined. You know, they know that, hey, we move this garbage can over here to this part of the library, so make sure that you throw your stuff away.
Thank you. Yeah, they've gotten warning after warning, and they got a pre-warning before they'll be given the, you know, good behavior sheet. You know, like, it's just because they're doing it upstairs and down.
Right.
And upstairs with the adult services. And I don't find out about a lot of the behavior until later. I was like, why is this garbage can gone? And they said, oh, well, we moved it there because we're finding candy wrappers and snacks over there all the time. But they feel safe. Like, we're getting glimpses of the fact that these kids are not, that their home life is not very stable. So we're trying to gently, and I've done a little bit of, hey guys, you know, and they're like, so they kind of, but then, you know, like they feel like, oh, I'm sorry, my phone was making a fart sound, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, you know, like, so they're having trouble distinguishing between, like, that's okay to have some fun, but you can't be running through the stacks playing hide and seek, because you might knock into a patron, like, you actively running. And
Right.
you know, like, our stacks are only about 12 feet long. Like, that's not a good space for running. So they come here to be safe and have fun. I was very proud of them though, because the 3 of the main boys, they came to our family board game and pizza night on their own after, like, it starts at 6 and the library closes at 5, and they chose to come back on a Friday night. And it was so good to see them, because, like, they knew they'd be safe there. They knew they could have fun there. It's free fun. And they said, is it okay if we play games and don't eat pizza? Like, yeah, you guys are okay. So yeah, we're trying.
And I think one of the words you've used a few times is safe and safety, and boundaries create safety, and being very clear about boundaries, and being clear about, you know, we have this boundary so that you don't get hurt and other people don't get hurt. One thing that I used to do was I met the kids at the front door of the branch library. It was very different than your library, Helen, but we were all on one level. But I met the kids with my branch manager actually at the front door when they were coming in, saying, hey, we're really glad that you're here. We had only 4 kids could sit at a table at a time. We had very specific boundaries for them because we had to. We welcomed them. We had things to do, but we also let them know that, you know, this is how you have to behave in the library. If you don't behave in the library in this way, in the ways that are appropriate, you can't come back tomorrow. And my branch manager also knew everybody's mothers, so, or grandmothers, or went to church with them. And she kind of like used that too, that relationship and those connections. One thing that I have often told about, you know, middle school kids is, hey, do you see these little kids? They're watching you, and the way you behave, you are teaching them how to behave in the library, and that's not what we want them to learn. So, you know, teach them that you can have fun in the library. You can, you know, visit with your friends, but you can't put the ice cream cone on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
My first thought was, oh my goodness, I hope that when they earn the Culver's coupon and the candy bars, that they don't put that on your bookshelves either.
I didn't think of
Kelly.
that. That's a good point. Yeah. And thank you also for that comment in the chat. That's great.
Follow through. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, they're pretty closely watched, like, you know, and also my idea is, like, if they're, you know, to have them be like, I just tidied up the area over there. Like, we were just over there. I just I threw out all of the candy bar wrappers. Like, just want to let you know, like, we're trying to keep the space clean, you know, something.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I would say, hey, come help me pick the candy wrappers
Yeah.
up. But Brittany, thank you.
Yeah. I'm nice to the teens, but they know that I don't mean business. If they come in and do something, I tell them right away. I will stop them at the desk before they leave and they say, hey, when you came in, I noticed you did this the other day. Just make sure you're doing this. It's a nice reminder. You do it in a nice tone. It's not too like, I'm coming after you, evil librarian, but
Yeah.
know that you're noticing that behavior is happening, and then that you're addressing it right to them. Some of them shy away and maybe they won't come back for the next couple of days, but most of them know there's rules, just like at school. They have to follow them to be
Mhm.
able to do stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like, because again, I'm not finding out about these things from the upstairs staff. So, like and then having them be able to reward good behavior too. I don't know. I'd like it if they would tell me more so that I could work with these kids more. I really hope that these kids will come to the writing workshop. Really hoping. But like 2 of them last night, they sat on the stairs outside the program room door and would not come in for the teen program. And I think that they were afraid of the lady who was upstairs, my coworker. And they love to run in and out of the building. And they know that I'm trying to like work with them and be there for them. So I think they felt, again, safe. I think they felt safe being near me, but weren't ready to commit to the program. So I don't know. I'm trying working through it, but thank you all for the feedback. Thanks for talking this out.
Yep. SOC has the same thing. We have a group of girls that we call the biker gang. They all have bikes. They come to the library. They come in, they hang out. And these kids are very early tweens. Like they're kind of out by themselves. They're always in swimsuits in the summer. Like they come in, they'll go into a passive area and do stuff. Like they've been warned numerous times. So it's you're not the only one that has the situation. Sometimes every once in a while you get a group that just seems like they don't want to listen. It's cool not to listen.
Thank you. Thanks. It helps to talk it out. Thank you. Good luck to you too with the biker.
We're just trying not to have them go around with their bikes in the parking lot, because it's like you're getting circled if you leave the parking lot in your car. So yeah,
Like sharks in the ocean.
exactly.
One of my rules of thumb, simply for life, but also even for professional, is think of your library as a place that has open doors, but that doesn't mean you're a doormat. That doesn't mean that you personally are a doormat, or your organization or your colleagues. And anything, because you are in a difficult, just with youth services being downstairs and adult being upstairs, consistency is something that you really need to be clear about with any types of boundaries. So what happens downstairs has to happen upstairs too.
Well, and like, I don't supervise the upstairs staff, not even close, nor do I wish to. But, and then the one lady upstairs, she's been here 21 years. And so I don't know, like how, to get them to agree to follow up, you have to make it be their idea, right? To get them on board. So I don't know, trying to get them to communicate to me, like, how is the trio tonight? I don't know, because I don't want to create more work for them, but I'd really like to know how they're doing. And we have an upcoming staff meeting. I'll check in with Lindsay, maybe try to get this on the agenda, the trio, our own version of the biker gang.
Great.
Thank you.
And maybe that's something we can explore in a future youth services webinar, is setting boundaries, following through, and bring in a presenter to talk about some of these issues.
That'd be great. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I'm going to write that. Okay, because I'm helping Jean Anderson with planning more continuing education moving forward. So we also are looking for somebody to present the Teen Tween webinar, which we usually have in April or May. So I have a few ideas, but if you have either topics or even presenters who you'd be interested in seeing talk about program ideas for teens and tweens, please let me know. Following, as I said, I'm following through on a few ideas, but I want to hear from you and make sure that the program topics we have are good ones. So, maybe somebody talking about the boundaries as well as activities might be a good teen or tween workshop for this year. Moving on to other topics that were brought to me. I don't know if you have thought about National Library Week, but Katie from Poinet has wondered, oh, hi, there you are, Katie. And she has even shared some ideas. So looking for National Library Week program and activities ideas. I'm going to copy that document and put it right into our notes. Thanks, Katie. Have any of you thought about what you're doing for National Library Week?
I haven't, but after this, can we talk about launch pads? Because we're thinking about buying some, and I was curious who has them and more about them.
We'll put Launchpad on right now.
Yeah, because I see Launchpad Cafe, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea when we get them.
Hey, in Belleville, they're having a puppet show for National Library Week. And we can continue this conversation on kids' lists too. National Library Week is in April. I don't have the exact dates. I bet one of you does, though. Maybe it's on Katie's document. We can talk more about this online. I want to jump into Kelly's question about Launchpad. They're popular in Poinet.
Yeah. They're expensive. That's all I know. I have like $500 I've set aside this year to buy a few. But yeah, any suggestions for I don't think I'll have any trouble. Oh, Launchpad. It's like a little tablet. So there's apps, like themed apps preloaded is what I've seen. And there are different ages and that. So it's kind of that helping with the early like media literacy with parents and that. And we've had an iPad here. I haven't brought it back out since the pandemic that would have apps and suggestions. I would always get great ideas from Clarissa, but Launchpads, they have these loaded ones, kind of like the AWEs that they could check out. But they're about $150 a piece.
Maybe Katie and Catherine can speak more to this, but I know that before I started in this position, there were some in Mount Hora, but we don't have them anymore because they broke. And the consensus was that I think they broke easily, and then like we just couldn't replace them.
I will say they do. That's true, Hannah. They do break very easily. We have had to send back boxes full of these launch pads, and I don't know enough about, our contract or how it works. I'm not involved in purchasing it all, but I think you have to find a supplier who, is really willing to work with you. And you have to be willing to charge for the damage if it's often small kids use these, and they'll jump up and down on them and break them. You'll get parents who bounce their babies on top of a launch pad and break them. We've had that happen. Good also to just like have them well labeled with what they cost, you know, to replace, so that parents know when they check them out that that's their responsibility. But they are hugely popular here.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that they're very popular, but well, and I think they're like made by Playaway. And well, the original like Playaways, we had a lot of issues where I stopped buying those. And then they became really popular at the schools because a lot of kids don't have CD players and that. So we started buying Playaways again, and it's like those Vox Wonder Books where they get really beat up fast, the like stuff, or they don't, someone tears it in your out pages and you're like, it's $50 or $45. And yeah. Okay, but that's good to know, the teen and adult launch pads, because I was thinking of starting with the early literacy STEM younger ones. But no, this is helpful because I hadn't heard about the yeah, I was a little concerned if they would break easily.
Thank you to everybody who jumped in and answered Kelly's question or gave her some information. I linked to Launchpad both in the notes or I guess this is the agenda. The agenda, we'll link to it in the notes, and I put it into the chat of this message of this meeting too. Cambridge has some that get checked out sometimes. Anything else about launch pads? I'll make sure I'm checking on everybody. The other question I received was Andrea from Monroe asked about outreach, where people are doing outreach, any outreach ideas. I think she's looking for ideas for maybe some new places to check into, new places to work with, and new program ideas. How's outreach going at your libraries?
Yes, I can hop in. So I've been going to a couple of the pre-Ks in town. I know Sauk City's Nicole works with Head Start. So that's another place that you can always check into to see if Head Start would be interested. But yeah, it's like the pre-Ks, the daycares, Head Start. There were a couple of so we have at Prairie du Sac, we have 2 story times a week. And I'm finding on Thursdays, that's kind of a heavy daycare day, it seems, in our community. So there are several people who come with multiple kids, some of them their own, some of them not, because they're watching kids that day. So I've been toying with the idea of maybe creating a separate session for them, maybe, just because it can get a little crazy if there's a lot of little ones. But yeah, those are the places that I typically look into.
Go ahead, Helen.
So like Bethany, we're doing, we just started in January going out to the local schools and daycares. So we're doing Fall River and Columbus. I'm headed to Fall River this afternoon. We're doing it once a month. We do Fall River 4K class in the morning, and then we do a Fall River class 4K class, the afternoon session. And then we go to the Fall River Cardinal Country Daycare in the afternoon. So we go 3 times on the one Tuesday of the month. And then on Thursday of this week, Susan and I will be going to the other daycares and local schools. Interestingly, we have not heard back from the Columbus Elementary School 4K daycare. We're going to Columbus Preschool. We're talking to Columbus School's Redbud Daycare, but I never got a call back from her title's Dean of Students. And I left her a couple of voicemails. So we're okay though, because we're going to 7 sites. So we have 3 sessions on Tuesday and then 6 on Thursday. So it's a lot to do. So we do 2 days once a week of the outreach. And then I am working with Columbus High School last month in January. No, this month. It was this month in February. I worked with the high school guidance counselor and the FFA teacher there, and we did a Pizza and Pathways mini career fair, and it was quite a hit. It was amazing. We followed a format that I'd kind of come across when I worked in grad school for the School of Business at my university, where they had like a panel, and then you've got, so the kids can hear the panel talk, and then you can go around to different tables and meet the different companies. And then while you're mingling, you get pizza if you want. And then you have a passport bingo card. So each company that you go to initials that you came to their table. And then if you go to all of them, then you get to hand that in for a prize drawing. And it was, the high school was thrilled. The principal, the vice principal, the superintendent came by. We're going to be doing this with the tech ed department in April on construction, architecture, engineering, manufacturing. It's really exciting. We had 13 presenters and almost 40 kids. We had 8th grade kids all the way up through seniors. So we're going to try to do this at least a couple times a year with the different pathways. And we met with the Fall River School District librarian. She's got 3 schools, but only 1 day a week there, and her whole day is teaching. So she doesn't have a lot of time for planning, but we're going to start doing more outreach in the Fall River schools aside from story time. And I've presented this idea to her as well. I'm going to meet with their high school principal at some point to talk about the Pizza and Pathways program and bringing that to them too. So the library paid for the pizzas, and we paid for some of the prizes. And we made the posters and designed the posters and things. So that was
did your school already have like an open career day before you did this?
Not really, no. No, the guidance counselor, she's new this year, and I contacted her in the fall. This was actually a concept I came up with during my Youth Services 101 course online. Lindsay and I have talked about how we don't see the high school students here like at all. And what do high school students need? Well, they need career advice. And so they hadn't really been doing this much at the high school. And 2 of the panelists who came, they said this was the best format they'd come across really in a while. So speakers, like panel, mingling, going around. And we also had Madison Area Technical College, Moraine Park, I think, and then was it Fox Valley Technical, one of the other. So we had 3 academic, oh no, it was the youth apprenticeship program.
Sounds really amazing, Helen. And it reminds me that in the last few minutes that I'm going to also schedule some teen services check-in meetings so that we can talk about specific ideas, program ideas for teens, topics that teen services librarians want to discuss. I've received that request, so I will honor it. Some libraries actually have teen services librarians, and some, like many of you, one person does it all. So hopefully you will be able to attend those meetings as well. Our next meeting is exactly 1 month from today on Tuesday, March 21st, first day of spring. So we'll go from Mardi Gras to spring. Very exciting. And I will update today's notes and send them out as soon as possible, send them out with the recording. This was a really great meeting. There's a few other things that I will follow up on in emails. One of them is Newbery and Caldecott Award bookmarks are available from SCLS. So I will send those to you as kids list or teen talk email, and you can request them from Deb. The other big news I heard at the last meeting I attended was that CCBC Choices will be coming out very soon. And once again, it's all virtual. So it will be all digital this year. And there's going to be some really cool changes and updates to it. One of the things is that there will be links to book jackets. So we'll be able to see what the book jacket art looks like and more connection to the CCBC databases. And as always, I am available to help with any intellectual freedom questions that you have. Things have been, getting a little active in the areas of intellectual freedom, and I've been helping some libraries, and we'll be looking for webinars and programs for library staff to attend on intellectual freedom in ways that you can support it, and talk about ways that we can work together to protect intellectual freedom and the right to read. I have the list of the other youth services meetings on our agenda. I'll be following through and scheduling a few book bites programs where we can talk about new and recently published books or books that you're using in programs for youth. And as always, we always have the CCBC Shorts webinar, and recordings are available to view at any time. And we will have another CCBC Choices programs are coming up in April. So lots going on, and we'll be adding more. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or if you have questions for each other, reach out directly to one another, or I can play connector. I'd be happy to connect you to any of your colleagues who mentioned things here today. Are there any last minute questions or remarks? Catherine. Oops, you're muted, Catherine. Yes, yes.
Yes. Gosh, okay. I was reading my button backwards. Okay. What is the best way for us to access the agendas with all those nice links you put in there after the meeting's done?
I am updating the Youth Services webpage, and you just reminded me that I have to get going on that. I always send them out as an email, but I will post them to the Youth Services webpage.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Writing myself a note. Okay, any other questions? All right, well, let's have a great rest of your February, and we'll hopefully slide into March. If you're in the snow's way tomorrow, enjoy the snowfall, enjoy the snowflakes, cozy up if you're able to. And thank you.